So I'm thinking, just as I go, about how complex the world is, all the operations in the world. I've just been watching something about the production of batteries, and it goes into lithium and cobalt and molybdenum, all kinds of materials that are essential to produce batteries. And I'm looking at all of the materials that go into batteries, and then you start getting into where do these materials come from? How do we mine them? How do we store them? Who mines them? Who stores them? Who makes them available? And all of it is all so intricate. And I'm just amazed at how complex and intricate the supply chain is for metals, for batteries, and materials you need. All of it is just basically amazing. And I'm thinking of how we produce computers. I've always been involved in programming and the design of systems at the end of the process. So I would deal with computers when they're fully constructed and they're operational. I've never been involved in how computers are produced, and then you get into the materials you need to manufacture the computer. And then there's a question of where the materials come from, and how are they sourced and stored, and how much do they cost, and how available are they. All of these things are so intricate and they're so complex, how everything works together to make production possible. And I feel kind of ignorant when I look into things now as to how lithium carbonate is produced and how batteries are produced for computers and phones and whatever. I realize that there's a lot to how the world works that is incredibly complex, and so many things are interdependent, and there are issues in how we manage the supply chain and how we keep things moving. And the development we have in technology means that the materials you need, the materials demand grows, and then there's a question of where the materials come from and how is it processed and stored. And there are so many interdependent activities that need to take place. And I'm wondering how it's all managed and controlled. I'm thinking who makes sure that we have all the lithium carbonate that we need? Who makes sure we have all the graphite we need? And that means we need chemists and engineering companies to source these materials. And so many things are important and interdependent. And I don't understand how it's all managed so well. Because as technology advances, the need for materials, specific materials, grows. And those materials need to come from somewhere. And they need to be stored and they need to be processed. And all of it is basically phenomenal. And I find it mind blowing how we manage all these intricate processes to make our world function. And our world is becoming more complex all the time, and the need for certain materials grows all the time. Lithium carbonate and graphite and molybdenum, neodymium, all of these things are all very strange and esoteric, but we are becoming increasingly dependent on them. And I just find it mind blowing how complex our supply chain needs are. And I'm finding it amazing that There are people out there who understand all of the things that we need and ensure that we produce all the materials or we purchase these things. There are people out there who understand that all of our complex technology is dependent on specific materials in large quantities, and these materials are all fundamentally important to the whole supply chain. And it's just amazing how complex it all is and how somebody needs to manage this stuff and make sure that things are working and in place properly. I find it really amazing that there are people out there who understand so much about how our world works and make sure that the materials we need are there and the processes are in place. And it's about storage and accessibility. All of it is just amazing how our world works when it's so complex. And there are people out there that understand all this stuff. And it is truly amazing. So I am so glad that there are men out there who understand all the details of this stuff, because it's making my head hurt